Yeah, it's Lydia, your daughter, Lydia.
Lydia, yeah.
Yeah, she's doing great.
Oh, yeah.
He's the best athlete ever to be in
We came in here and shut things down on Zoom, and then we went to the armory, then we went to the county courthouse. So probably a year.
Amazing.
Think about this, work out there.
That's weird. He's going to talk about dark skies. There's another thing. Oh, I saw that. It's about reducing lighting, putting shades on top of lights, so make the night sky darker.
I didn't read that, but yeah, okay.
Oh no! I don't know if it's there might be something I want to do as far as future lighting going in.
So you can see the stars and everything back in the job.
Sitting out there, looking up, seeing some stars and stuff. They let that lady next door go take the street light. And you know, if I had more time too, I'd take that light out because if I just have it dark out.
The lake, we got our boats out of the lake, no light on the sky.
It's beautiful.
I get where he's coming from.
And then there may be some things they do to, I mean, he'll talk about different, you can get different ratings, your city, as far as today level. A lot of it has to do with just putting a shade over the shade comes, which probably makes it better.
Maybe all the new ones were like that anyway. They should be if they're not.
I think you're arrested for
You can check the sound of that. I checked it. I don't know why. I don't know. Bobby had the same issue. She started the whole thing.
I heard that,
And then realized halfway through the
Mike,
meeting.
are you done traveling? You home for a while?
I said, must have been like Joseph
All over.
Dave Barker.
Pays the bills.
For a while longer anyway. Yeah.
I said, well, if I'd known Gina and Deborah were going to be there, I would have
As soon as I
went
heard
down
it, I
there
was like, I didn't realize, I forgot that this stuff was at the courthouse till 4:30. Talking to Brenda. But Patty was on at the Parks Board meeting, so I had plenty of time to get it all
too.
set
I
up.
know she appreciated it. Somebody knew what they were doing.
Hey Greg, when's the last time we were in here?
Well, it was
About a year ago.
Yeah.
Is it close to a year?
Solar last time we charged like
Came back, and
$600-$700.
Came back, and then we went to Zoom, and then we went to
Zoom.
I figured he's
then we went to
back
Armory,
on track for another
and
year.
into the county.
I bet you it's close
Gregor,
to a year.
keeps you in business.
Okay, let's rise.
Mr. York, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Walden, would you lead us in a prayer, please?
Father, we come to you tonight to ask for your guidance in our city business. We ask that you be with us in our judgments. We ask that you be with those who are suffering in our city and give them your support. And we ask all this in our Savior's name. Amen.
Okay, attendance, roll call vote, please.
Mike Guffey.
Present.
Jeff Hancock.
Present.
Jerry Walden.
Present.
Aaron Dickens.
Here.
Mark Hoger.
Here.
Lynn Purdue.
Here.
Rex Beckapall.
Here. Okay, do we have any corrections or additions to the minutes of the former meeting?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the previous meeting.
Second.
Okay, so roll call vote.
Mike Guffey.
That was on the minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Jeff Hancock.
Aye.
Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Hoger.
Aye.
Lynn Purdue.
Aye.
Rex Beckapall.
Aye. We have no resolutions. We do have some ordinances. Our first ordinance is 3861, establishing the American Rescue Plan Act Fund. This is first reading. Whereas the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, ARP, was enacted on March 11, 2021. Whereas ARP, among other things, established a coronavirus local fiscal recovery fund, which provides for the disbursement of revenue from the federal government to local government units to mitigate the negative fiscal impact stemming from the COVID-19 public health emergency. Whereas the revenue received by local government units may only be utilized for specified purposes, whereas it is anticipated that the City of Newcastle will receive revenues from the federal government as a result of the ARP's enactment, and whereas the City of Newcastle wishes to create a separate non-reverting fund to hold the revenues and to delineate the uses of the revenues. Now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Newcastle, Indiana, as follows. 1. A non-reverting fund entitled American Rescue Plan Act Fund is hereby created. All revenue received by the City of Newcastle as a result of the enactment of ARP shall be allocated to the fund. 2. Revenues in the fund may be utilized as permitted by Section 603C1 of ARP, including specifically A, to respond to the public health emergency with respect to the coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19, or its negative economic impacts, including assistance to households, small businesses, and nonprofits, or aid to impacted industries such as tourism, travel, and hospitality. To respond to workers performing essential work during COVID-19 public health emergency by providing premium pay to eligible employees performing essential work, or by providing grants to eligible employers that have eligible employees who perform essential work. C, for the provision of government services to the extent of the reduction of revenue relative to revenues collected during 2019 due to the COVID-19 public health emergency, and D, to make necessary investments in water and sewer infrastructure. Number 3, a written plan for the expenditures of revenue allocated to the fund will be developed by the Common Council. The plan may be amended from time to time upon majority vote of the Common Council. 4, all revenues in the fund must be appropriated by the Common Council before expenditure. All disbursements of revenues from the fund must be approved and paid in accordance with the City of Newcastle's normal procedure for the approval and payment of claims. I would move we pass ordinance 3861 on first reading.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion?
Rex, will the finance committee be coming up with the plan and then share it with us? Or
Yeah, well, I
have you
think
gotten that far?
we talked a little bit about it in the last finance committee meeting. The mayor has some ideas. Certainly, we're open to that. But we will probably between the mayor and the finance committee in the finance committee meeting, we will come up with a plan at that point. And yes, you definitely will be shared with the council because the council has to vote on it.
There's nothing etched in stone, it's just we gotta get it approved before a certain time.
We have to have this fund to put the money in because the money's gonna come. Now, the money can sit there for a little while before we ever do anything.
We have until 2024 to spend the money.
Right, so,
But we have to have this passed before the first half of the money drops, and that's expected sometime around June 11th.
So after 2024, if there's anything left, you have to return it, or?
If we're gonna spend it, we
Oh,
have to
there
spend
won't be
it.
any more. Yeah, we're gonna spend it. I got to figure we'll find a way to spend
Well,
it.
that's what I'm edging towards
Hey,
there.
if there's money still there by 2024, I'd be surprised.
It's our problem, isn't it?
Okay, any other discussion, questions? Okay, been moved and seconded, roll call vote.
Mike Duffy.
Aye.
Jeff Hancock.
Aye.
Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Hoger.
Aye.
Lynn Purdue.
Aye.
Rex Beckapple.
Aye. Okay, passes on first reading. Next is ordinance 3862, an ordinance vacating right-of-way within the city of Newcastle, Indiana. Whereas David R. Brown has petitioned the city of Newcastle to vacate a public right-of-way that is described as the platted roadway running between the real estate commonly known as 304 North 30th Street, Lot 27 of the East Side addition to the City of Newcastle parcel 030-36527-00, and the real estate commonly known as 222 North 30th Street, Lot 26 of East Side addition to the City of Newcastle parcel 030-36256-00. A map depicting the area that is proposed to be vacated is attached. Whereas the area is not commonly or not currently utilized by the public as a means of ingress or egress, and vacating the area will not impede access to any property or negatively impact the development of the city, and whereas the Common Council has held a public hearing on the petition and has provided notice and hearing by publication and by certified mail to each owner of the land that abuts the property proposed to be vacated, now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Newcastle, Indiana, that the petition to vacate real estate filed by David R. Brown is hereby granted. It is further ordained that the following public way is vacated to wit: the platted roadway running between the real estate commonly known as 304 North 30th Street, Lot 27 of the East Side addition to the City of Newcastle, parcel 030-36527-00, and the real estate commonly known as 222 North 30th Street, Lot 26 of the East Side addition to the City of Newcastle, parcel 030-36256-00. I have one question, Mr. Harvey. It says, is this part in here where it talks about the public hearing, is that merely there because we'll have a public
In
hearing
order
on
to
the
finally
next?
pass the ordinance, you have
Yeah,
to have
okay.
a public hearing.
All right, so
yeah.
I'll move we pass this on first reading.
Second.
Okay, any discussion or questions?
Joel, since we have a couple of these tonight, we don't have this very often, would you mind explaining what this means?
Oh, sure. Basically, what it is and when these subdivisions were laid out many years ago, the area, some of these areas were platted in the subdivision as either a roadway or an alleyway, and sometimes those don't get developed as a roadway or alleyway, and it oftentimes is just a grass area that's depicted when you pull up the GIS map as an area running straight between a lot of different properties, and that's similar to what this one was. It looks like there's an area that was platted as an alleyway or a way to connect into that other alley that runs it looks like behind these properties also there's a platted alley too. So it looks like this was probably an extension of Sycamore Street, it looks like, to go into that alley. It just was never developed. It was not currently used. So essentially what this does is it vacates the area, and it typically when you vacate, then the property gets divided among adjoining property owners.
Did both property owners come in and want?
I think it was just Mr. Brown.
Does he want the whole thing?
Well, when you do that, then it would divide it among the adjoining property owners automatically. So he would get half in essence.
And the adjoining property owner will get a letter about the public hearing.
Correct. The
I
adjoining
think,
property
so.
owner will have to be notified. By
So at worst, they're gonna either come in.
So they may come in here at the next meeting and say, no, I don't want this to happen.
Well,
One could say yes and one could say no.
Yeah.
that becomes a taxable property at that point.
Correct,
That would be
yeah.
reassessed.
Correct,
They pay
yeah.
taxes on it, yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mike Duffy.
Aye.
Jeff Hancock.
Aye.
Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickon.
Aye.
Mark Koger.
Aye.
Will Purdue.
Aye.
Rex Steckelbaum.
Aye. Passes 7-0. Next, we have ordinance 3863, vacating a right-of-way on Spring Street. Whereas Nika Cody has petitioned the City of Newcastle to vacate a public right-of-way that is described as the platted roadway running between the real estate commonly known as 1902 Spring Street, parcel number 030-31417-0, and the real estate commonly known as 1936 Spring Street, parcel number 030-31416-00, and the real estate known as 318 North 19th Street, parcel number 030-31415-00. The map depicting the area that is proposed to be vacated is attached. Whereas the area is not currently utilized by the public as a means of ingress or egress, and vacating the area will not impede access to any property or negatively impact the development of the city, and whereas the Common Council has held a public hearing on the petition and has provided notice of the hearing by publication and by certified mail to each owner of land that abuts the property proposed to be vacated, now therefore be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Newcastle, Indiana, that the petition to vacate real estate filed by Nietzsche Cody is hereby granted. It is further ordained that the following public way is vacated to wit: the platted roadway running between the real estate commonly known as 1902 Spring Street, parcel number 030-31417-00, the real estate commonly known as 1936 Spring Street, parcel number 030-31416-00, and the real estate known as 318 North 19th Street, parcel number 030-31415-00. I move we accept ordinance 3863, first reading.
I'll second that motion.
Any question or discussion?
Now, this one, this is just an old area, because there's a house, sitting there now, that, building trades built it 2 years ago, I believe it was.
In that area to the left of,
Yeah, there's a full house there now.
Okay.
They came in first, and then when they talked to Cody's about it, so both of these are interested in it, split it right down the middle.
Great. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mike Duffy.
Aye.
Jeff Hancock.
Aye.
Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Hoder.
Aye.
Lynn Purdue.
Aye.
Rex Beckdahl.
Aye. Okay, now, as we go to other business, I have a gentleman that wanted to present some information to the council. He was on the front page of the Courier the other day, and I'm just going to let him tell about what he's going to talk about. That's Louis Chaplin.
Well, as Coach Peck said, I was on the front page of the Courier, and I haven't spoken in front of anybody since high school, so here we go. So my name's Louis Chaplin, and I'm the state/area dark sky advocate with the International Dark Sky Association, which is an Arizona-based nonprofit that not only locates dark sky preserves where you can see planets and stars more clearly, but also works towards protecting the night sky through outreach, education, and public policy. I'm a proud resident of this great community. So I'm going to start with a question. Would Vincent van Gogh have been able to paint the Starry Night if he lived in Newcastle today? Or even Remy, not sure on pronunciation because it's in France, where he spent several years and created his most amazing works of art. We have a great responsibility to the ecosystem and people of this town for giving everyone and everything the best quality of life we can. Uncle Ben from Spider-Man said to Peter Parker, "With great power comes great responsibility." What power and responsibility am I talking about today? Light pollution. Light is a very powerful thing. It disrupts everything from insects, birds, and the great people in this community, ranging from trees not shedding their leaves at the correct time to people not getting the best night's sleep they can. There's a straightforward resolution to this problem. I have spoken to fellow dark sky advocates from Beverly Shores, Indiana, and Duke Energy about options that are available. There are two options that were discussed, the first being high pressure sodium lamps, or HPS, lights being shielded, and the other of LED. Both of these are available. LED are generally seen as bright lights, so you may find yourself asking how this solves a light pollution problem. Darksky.org certifies a 3000 Kelvin LED lights as eligible for dark sky cities. The recommendation, however, is 2200 Kelvin, and that's the light temperature. Duke quoted $16 to $36 per light the other day when I called them asking if they could shield mine on Beechwood Drive. They are also doing LED retrofits, and the price range was not discussed during the call. I do not want the lights gone. I am asking how we get the lights either dimmer or shielded so that they are the only lighting up the sidewalks or the road, where the focus of the light should be. There are some lights, in my opinion, that you could shut off or be done away with altogether. Example being limiting the number of street lights used in residential areas, reducing the distance between lights. With LEDs, less lumen and some lights off completely could save this town some money. This would also create the potential for revenue if we were to be able to be listed as a dark sky location. It would open up our town to the numerous possible functions of astrotourism. This would also open up a grand new way to teach children about space. being able to see what they are learning about is such an amazing benefit. Would you rather look at a photo of your interest or see it in real life? And then I've got some pictures to pass around. So a little bit about those pictures. They were all taken from my front or backyard, which is on Beechwood Drive, and they were all edited by me. Granted, my name got cut off on some of them. I'm learning. So, quick thing on those. For all of human history, we've been able to look at the sky for inspiration and wonder. Great philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, and Copernicus. Artists such as the previous mentioned Van Gogh and Galileo Galilei, who discovered the 4 biggest moons of Jupiter, known as the Galilean moons. The rings of Saturn were discovered by Cassini, and that was way back in the day, about the 20s or so. So I've recently ventured into visual observation of the cosmos with my personal telescope, as well as starting in astrophotography, which would be the pictures that you're looking at. Both of these are made more difficult by the bright orange illuminating lights found in town. Take the lights in my neighborhood, for example. They bathe the front of my home and yard in light. This includes 3 bedrooms with west-facing windows. I get better sleep when I'm in my semi since I have no lights in my sleep space. These are the key reasons that I became a dark sky advocate. My goal in doing so was to bring the joy, wonder, and inspiration, mystery, and education of space to the residents, both young and old, of this great community. This would also improve the quality of life for everyone. Ask yourself how much better you feel after a truly restful night's sleep. I started off with a question about Van Gogh, so let's circle back to that for a moment. Newcastle is a Boreal 5 on the light pollution scale. Kennard is a 4, and Indianapolis is a 9. Today, Remy, France is also a 9. You can see these numbers for yourself on the Clear Outside app on your phone. With numbers that high, how would Van Gogh have known what a starry night looked like? I think it'd be pretty safe to say that he would not have had such an amazing view to create such an amazing work of art. Myself and some other residents would also like to see the light situation change to improve the quality of life and be able to see the bright stars shine a lot brighter. In his speech, A Strenuous Life, Teddy Roosevelt said, "Dare mighty things." JPL, that has landed rovers on Mars, has adopted this as their motto. I ask that Newcastle do this and the council adopt the same motto. Do mighty things. Make Newcastle a dark sky, better ecosystem, and better quality of life for the residents. I can answer any questions at this time if there is any, or if anybody would want to reach out. And thank you for your time and the opportunity to speak in front of you. And I ask that we do mighty things.
Louis, is there anyone else here in town on board with you on this? Is there a club or something?
There's not. There's one up in Muncie. Just a bunch of guys getting together, from what I can tell. I know there's some other people that would like lights not shining in their house that are friends of mine for their own selfish reasons of good night's sleep.
I know my part of town with the prison out there, that's
So Beverly Shores, since I don't have a map, Beverly Shores is up by Michigan City. Michigan City's about 20 miles away. They have a prison. The prison said that they would be interested in downward shielded lights. They didn't have the money for it. There are grants for stuff like this to, say, get the prison shielded. I would ask that we kind of start small. Maybe the parks, since parks usually have a lot of wildlife, like Memorial. Maybe my streets, because I'm selfish and I want to go look at the stars. With the cost-saving part of it, I thought maybe we could find a little community. When I called to the mayor's office, they said, I believe it's Sleepy Hollow, spends about $300 a month in lighting just that little itty-bitty spot. That'd be a good test bed. Like, how much money are we going to save? We were spending $300, now we're spending $100. Now we got $200 we can play with.
Thanks.
do we get in touch with Duke Energy, or where's some guidelines of people we can get in touch with about what our next steps are?
So when I called and talked to Duke, which they weren't very forthcoming since I don't own my lights on my road, they said that they would be able to shield the lights, and that they are currently in the process of retrofitting to LED anyway. So my thought was, if we had a few streets in downtown where everybody could go and not just some little housing complex or whatever, we could have different light ranges. So one street could have a 2200 Kelvin, the next street could have like a 2700, and then the final one could have a 3000, and they would be shielded, and then you could see the difference. That makes sense. If Duke's going to upfit, then we can go, we want these lights if you're going to go ahead and do an upfit. But they said it was like $16 to $36 a light. And I don't know what all that encompasses, because
Well, they're big into LED right now. Would
Right.
there be LED light?
they should be. So high pressure sodium has mercury in them. Each bulb has mercury in it. And they're only rated for about 5 years of life, whereas a LED is about 20 years, depending on how much light you're pushing out of them chips.
I'm not opposed to it, but I think we've got a lot of information to get.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that Duke probably, if you or Dave or somebody called him, could probably tell us, okay, if we changed out 100 bulbs, what would that cost us? And
Well, they did
how,
it on Broad Street.
right,
They told
and
me.
how much would it, they could probably tell us how much it would save us in our bill. I'm sure they send out that stuff to your home all the time.
Yeah, but we gotta buy the fixtures up front though.
Well, now the fixtures it may not be so much, I don't know, but I think it's worth looking into, because, I don't know, I was in my backyard the other night, and, now this is, fortunately, I don't own a gun, but I was, sitting there, and I was looking up, and I could see some of the stars, but there's a big old street light right over there, and you can't really, I thought, man, if it was 50 years ago and I was, 14 again, and I might have just shot that light out with my 22, and it'd be darker, But,
So, funny note, one of the guys that wants one of his lights to be shielded, his wife asked him to shoot it out. Obviously, he didn't, because we're responsible gun owners.
Yeah.
But I think that's funny.
Our streetlights aren't metered other than the new ones they put in downtown, are they? It's just a flat rate no matter what. So they're not metered. Yes, it would save money, but it would save Duke money. The
Well-
city's actually not paying.
And maybe we could ask, if nothing else, we could ask Duke, when they replace lights, to replace them with the 2200 Kelvin lights,
They are, they're going to LED.
but, we could ask them to replace that with that lower Kelvin, and that would get a look at it.
The word that is continually used is shield. And,
Right.
if we start taking streetlights out, there's some elderly people that's just gonna be livid because they
Right.
can't see the road.
Well, now in the paper the other day, it showed
Would you like me to grab my copy of the paper?
yeah, why don't you show them the picture? It showed a couple of different ways. Of course, it had the one where you got the glass globe on top, which puts light out everywhere. And I thought that was a very good depiction of what could happen. You don't have to always go to necessarily the Cadillac, which might be that shade pointing down, but even the third picture there would be helpful probably.
Yeah. Well, that's still shining in bedroom light.
Right, but as far as seeing the night sky and those type of things. Anyway, if you've seen that.
I don't think it hurts to, see what the costs are, timeline, everything from the shield and the lower Kelvin. And then, I don't know, maybe we, or the Special Issues Committee actually, finds a willing neighborhood that would be willing to test the shield out.
Well, we could as a council at some point pass an ordinance saying that all new residential lighting meets certain standards, like if somebody, or commercial, like if somebody builds a new store or something and they're gonna put lights around it, if we said that it has to meet these standards, this is not gonna be so expensive it's gonna keep somebody from building you know, their building and stuff.
It's not a bad idea.
Well,
Yeah.
and on,
We can kind of start working it down.
on darksky.org, apparently there's some Home Depots that sell residential and commercial shielded lights. I don't know what the cost on that is because, well, magically my lights are usually off anyway.
I'm sure it's not so prohibitive that
Right.
somebody can do that, you know. Okay, well, we'll take it under, you know, advisement, and we'll keep looking into it, and you keep checking back to make sure that we do.
Okay.
Not in argument wise, but we have more people asking to add lights. And so maybe now this brings us to the point where we need to make sure we add the correct lights.
Right.
But we have more people asking to add lights.
Well,
in the
and
neighborhood.
that's why when
Take them
Duke
out.
said that they was upgrading to LED, I think that this would be a good time instead of just throwing
Right.
some bright bluish white light that nobody likes anyway in there. We kind of do it more the right way since they're footing most of the bill on it. Also, with that, yeah, we'd probably be saving, or Duke would be saving money on whatever, but we'd also be lowering Newcastle's carbon footprint by a lot, which is just good all the way around.
And I think there will still be visibility, it just won't be, I mean, I guess as wide, right? I mean, the street's still gonna be lit.
Right,
right,
And
yeah.
you've got headlights anyway.
It's
Right.
directional. It's more direct.
Right.
So,
I think that's the important part, is the power, the Kelvin, and the direction.
which
We
in,
still have the coverage.
in one, I can't remember if it was Phoenix or Tucson, but they actually, where they run their lights at is 60% of what the high pressure sodium was. And that's until midnight. And at midnight, some of them get shut off and some of them get scaled back to 30%. So there's way less light everywhere.
What's your address on Beechwood Drive?
3217. And it's on the wrong side of the road.
Greg, when electric company comes into town to do those replacements, do they share their plan with you? We're gonna start here. I knew what the answer was gonna be.
They're like working with the railroad.
Okay. I just wanted everyone to hear that, so.
Actually, we've got 3 lights or 2 lights downtown that we're begging them to, somebody marked them, who put the yellow tags on?
Duke Energy.
Okay. We try to stay on top of it, and it's still like full of teeth, but they do have opportunities to show us different light.
Mhm.
We can say we wanna get more detail and ask more questions about it, and so that's doable.
Okay.
That's good.
Thank you.
We'll look into
Appreciate
it.
it.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, that brings us to committee reports. Mr. Guffey?
I don't have no committee report, but I think we all now have the iPads, and to me, I feel like besides this piece of paper, a lot of this, man, we could maybe do away with.
I think that's very possible, 'cause,
You know,
Maybe just go with the agenda.
yeah, just with the agenda.
the rest
maybe,
of it we should
because
all have
most of this, I don't know
digitally,
how you
I've
feel,
got,
but
I
the
just
way I
didn't
do,
pull
I
it out
look at
tonight,
it.
but I've got it right there on the
Yeah,
iPad.
but I look at it before I even
print
come
my
here.
own anyway, so.
So, but I was just saying,
Well, no, I could read it off there, I just didn't do it tonight.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
that's just a lot of paper.
It's fine, you actually can make it bigger on there if you want to.
We can
So let's
save
just
three.
do the agenda next meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, everybody, any
Yeah.
disagreement?
No, I agree.
Do we need to make a
Okay,
motion?
thanks, Mike. Okay, Mr. Hancock?
The only thing
Good.
they got, Carrie's not here, but Dana Broad looks great. That's all.
Mr. Walden?
He stole my thunder. Citizens Corner looks really nice. Did a nice job of cleaning it up and re-landscaping.
She's wanting to do some more stuff there too. I mean, she's got some other plans to add some color to it.
Anything else? Okay, Aaron?
Just want to plug the tour, Pour and Restore Thursday night. It's an open house. Several downtown buildings are for sale through ERA and FC Tucker. So trying to give a chance to anybody that's interested to come see them. And then at 6:30, we'll be at Primo where we'll have representatives from Okra, Indiana Landmarks, the EDC, the RDC, Historic Preservation Commission, kind of like what we did a few years ago at the Art Center for those of you that did go, and just trying to get opportunities and resources out to everybody so they know that what's possible, and hopefully get some of these buildings filled. So if you could share that with whoever, I mean, whoever you want to, I think the more people that know about it, the better. And usually it's not someone from Newcastle that might be interested. So that's all I have.
Should I have a question.
Sorry, Lynn.
Should I clean my office for that night?
I think you just pull the blinds and leave it.
I didn't know it was for sale until I saw
Oh,
that.
was it your address? It must have been the wrong address.
Yeah. Well, I'll be at the meeting, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Cody, nothing? Mr. Purdue?
Well, since the mayor mentioned the railroads, and I know it's pothole season, but every railroad crossing in town is a shambles right now. So I know if we can do anything, Dave, to get on their list, but boy, some of them are really bad.
Maybe we can use some of that COVID money for that.
They won't let us, will they?
We can, but they'll rip it out.
What's funny is
Well,
when
the
you
private
call
one
them,
we can,
leave
maybe
a
A
message
Avenue,
sometimes.
Oh,
I Avenue.
Connersville line.
Well, they're getting ready to tear up I Avenue, so that'll get repaired as they fix that road back. Because right now the road is higher than the railroad.
So I and 14th will be fixed.
Well, so will 18th, since the state's redoing 18th.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it is no secret that 14th Street has been a disaster for a lot of years and getting worse. And Lee stayed on it the best that he can, and it still, pushes out. But we've known that we've got this they started the long-term control plan today, so I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but they started it today. And so they're gonna put a pipe 4 foot round, 10 foot underground, so the road's coming up, but in that project, that road will get replaced after they get that done, so. There was no sense in putting a new road in and then tearing it up.
Yeah, we knew that.
So it's
Good.
just fighting it. because of that.
Okay.
And just also
That's all
a
I've
plug
got.
on what Lynn talked about, is that track that goes all the way out, it's every crossing. I've contacted Pete Bell, he don't answer his phone. but
He doesn't answer, you just leave a message.
I leave a message.
Well, hang on, I need to talk to you about that after the
So you complained about Mike harassing him?
I got his number.
Everybody's
Okay.
got pizza.
Okay, couple of things. The first thing, I know this was brought up at another meeting, and then there's been some, banter about it. But I know Mr. Walker has ordered some 20-mile-an-hour speed limit signs for Plum from 18th to 25th. Is that correct, Lee?
Yes, that's what
Okay.
he asked.
And then he also suggested that we might want to consider that same thing for Walnut from 18th to 25th. Is that correct, Lee?
Yeah, the two streets are identical as far as there's no parking on one side and it's a narrow street and you do have some older people living there. And so you've got to pull over anyway. Plum Street was actually tagged at 20 east of 25th Street. So that's why I thought in the same way with Walnut Street. So if one part of it is, you might as well just do it all while we're doing it and be done with it.
So we need to ordinance for those two sections. Okay. And Lee, when we take a toter back, like we have one that's got no lid, or what do we do with that toter?
Currently, there's approximately 500 to 600 sitting out in the old street department. They're turned upside down. And we're still, Greg is working on hopefully getting a universal lid.
Good, that's what I was wanting to
That
know.
will
Good.
be able to maybe put those toters, some of those toters anyway, back into circulation.
Well, I was-
And help out.
We'll use all 500 of them, but
Right.
we take wheels off the.
Because I was driving through another community, and they obviously had different, replacement lids on a lot of their toters. So that'd be great if we could, even if we got a couple hundred of them, that'd be. Super. Okay, well, that's all I've got.
Hey,
Oh, wait a minute.
The 3 cars parked back here by the
Yes.
recycle bins, can we get those,
Move them down to the, or
just get rid of them? I mean, they're not worth anything.
we've got about 8 more, just like.
I know, I know.
The new police headquarters, we need to get rid of them too.
But just, I mean, you know, we got people driving in there all the time with recycle, and here we're just not being a very good neighbor by keeping those out there.
We've scabbed everything off of them and possibly can't have them, and we've used every part, so they're.
I thought
there was just one up there that belonged to someone. I think,
No,
it's
there's-
people, I think there's just one now, but it was on the police car, I believe, or.
No,
it was
it's
on
a
Cemetery car.
cemetery car.
Yeah, there's 3. I was just there this morning emptying cardboard.
I think all 3 are city cars.
Well, we can check.
Over there, I mean, they park there.
One was driven by the old Department of Works guy when Jim was here. That,
Don?
yeah, no, it wasn't Don. Chip.
England.
Yeah, it was driven by him. Remember, we had to put new tires and wheels on it for him.
He drove them off of it.
I think they're still on it.
But now, there's no value to them,
Yeah, it just,
in their good days, it's probably $150 to $250, but if they gotta come and pick them up, might be half of that, I don't know.
whatever you need to do.
Just get rid of it.
Just get rid of it.
Just get rid of it.
It's definitely not worth having to auction and putting time into it. Yeah.
Scrap it. Okay, anything else? Okay, Your Honor, I'll turn it over to you.
Anything, Chief? No. Chief? Kenny? Mike? Anything else? Brenda?
Matt, you might tell them what you're gonna go get.
Oh, we're gonna go pick up the Bearcat, the guys are going up Wednesday to Massachusetts.
Good.
Should be back Friday afternoon, and, as soon as we get it back, we'll probably have, anybody wants to come down,
Yeah,
do it.
we need the next council meeting, we need to set outside,
Yeah.
out front, so everybody can look at it, coming in, going in. Or maybe the first one, make Bodie move his vehicle, someone park it in his.
Yeah, I was
vehicle.
gonna-
I was there that truck, I'd move back to my place.
Which we do have, is it Louisville, or who is it?
Elizabeth.
Louisville and Strawn are gonna share.
Are interested in fire truck 4. Got no value to it, so we're giving them a heck of a deal on it. It's, can't use a ladder, it's not OSHA approved anymore, but they need it as a tanker, is that correct? It's needed as a tanker.
Good.
I'll sell it to them. Kendra? Doug? Greg? Lee?
We'll have, another 500 toters, Friday, and then 2 weeks from now, we'll get the other 500 to make the 1,000 that we just ordered. So we are still getting toters in on a regular basis, get them put out as quickly as we can.
Okay. One thing that I have is, we had a couple phone calls about 2 properties, 804 South 21st Street. The city does own that one, and it needs demoed, it's beyond repair. There's probably, we go to 2122 Graham. What's that guy's name on 22nd Street?
Matt.
Matt Sosa.
Yeah, that has all the Christmas lights out. On Grant, it backs up to his backyard, and he's wanting it. So we're gonna give that property to, the
Land bank.
Land bank, and they have the ability, it doesn't have to go out on auction, it doesn't, if somebody wants it, they can sell it. And, now unfortunately, in looking into some of this, you know, people think, well, do I get it for $1? Well, I'm not, making excuses, but there's attorney's fees and $150 to do a title search and, or probably more than that, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, on some of them, we're just gonna try to recoup our money. On some of them, it's in a nice location. If we can sell it at a decent price, we need the land bank to be able to afford the one at 804 21st Street that we need to put $4,000 or $5,000 into demo. So, it's not gonna get, the land bank's not gonna get rich. We're working on some banking right now. I think here real soon we'll have $15,000 to $20,000. We've already applied for 4 or 5, that went through the commissioner sale.
Yeah, Commissioner
So when we find out we got those.
July is when the redemption period runs out.
And we
So-
picked the ones that we thought we could sell to rehab guys that could buy it and fix them up, resell them. So so there's no misunderstanding, everybody's called in and say, is that on the demo list? Well, we're out of the state demo program. We don't have that money. So it's not on that demo program, but yes, it's on our radar that we've determined these houses need to be demoed, these houses can be fixed up. So that 804 is on a list. It's not active, it's gonna be done in a month or 2 months, but it is on our radar that it's gonna be demoed. And, we try to sell it, and it is kind of landlocked, there's an alley beside it, and it's, maybe somebody would wanna buy it to build a house. I don't know, it's right next to railroad tracks, it's an active railroad tracks. So, it's gonna be a give and take thing, but that, 21, 22, we should be able to move it in a hurry to Mac, Sosa or Solsa?
Sousa.
Sousa. So, there is no reason why we can't go through the land bank on that one, Jerry, write that down, 21, 22 grand. Okay. So that's all I have there. And then on, I asked Matt and Lee to go look at an alley. There was a lady came in to one, her brother's handicapped, and wanted to vacate an alley. I looked at it today, and I'm telling you, it's got better asphalt on it than 80% of our streets. And straight, and it looks like all the neighbors both sides use it. So, I mean, we just told her, you know, the solution would be, he needs to put in a driveway behind his house to get up his handicap ramp.
He basically just wanted to park his car right in the middle of the alley,
And-
block it.
And block the whole alley.
And we told him we couldn't do that.
So, you don't need to go look at that, we've talked.
I already looked at it, and I was gonna say the same thing. I thought maybe if he just put a drive right there, just in
Pole.
front.
It's-
Yeah,
yeah,
right
right off
there
the
where
alley.
the transfer
Yeah.
station.
So, because they come in and want vacated, I mean, these that are grass.
I don't think she wanted to vacate it, she just wanted to know if we could park in the middle of the
Well,
alley.
that's close, that's shutting it down. So, this particular one, we couldn't do that, it's in too good a shape, I mean, it didn't have a pothole in it anywhere.
No, it's a nice alley.
It was probably one of the best alleys we got in all of Newcastle.
Do we need to make it a street?
Well, No, it's.
You barely get one car in
one
one.
lane.
Just getting on the answer.
And basically, that's all I have.
Okay, any citizens that wish to appear before the council?
I'll just add on the land bank, the Henry County Foundation granted the land bank $10,000 as seed money, so
Good, thanks.
that's a big plus to help get things started.
So we get that 10 and sell a couple other, have 5,000 or 6,000, I think we have 15 to 20,000 that could help demo this 804.
Get
Hopefully
something-
by July
something
or
rolling.
August, we'll be selling some properties to get them back on the taxpayer rules.
Good.
We've been having, Jerry, Mike, and Joel, been having land bank meetings every month for 5 months. Yeah.
Well, since December was the first one.
So, you know, we're working diligently well, but it takes time. And it should help us be able, in a year or 2 years, to control these properties instead of selling them to somebody from Canada or Phoenix or, so I think it's gonna work out good. It just takes time. It just doesn't happen overnight, but it's moving in the right direction. Yes.
I have the opportunity to walk on Main Street from, say, Southern to the corner of Bundy and Main. And if you're walking on the west side, there are so many people parking on the curb, on the sidewalk now. Is there anything to be done about that? Because when I hear you guys talking about 18th being redone, and I'm assuming they're gonna put new curbs too, are we permitted to park on the
No.
sidewalk for
That's-
curbs?
no.
I mean,
Chief-
it looks terrible.
Chief will take care of that.
It's
We
pretty
take-
much from Southern to Bundy on the west side,
Sidewalk,
and
no,
literally
it's a
one of the
bad
guys is
job.
parking halfway on the sidewalk now.
Did-
It looks terrible down there.
Well, then we passed out just warning tickets first, didn't we, before we started writing tickets?
We did there for a while, yeah. But we're writing tickets now.
Okay.
Everybody should know that.
I can tell you Matt does a good job when you
Oh, I
call
know.
him,
That-
because I
that
know it
ordinance
gets
has been
really
around for
frustrated
many
when they
years.
pull up on the
People
new
know.
sidewalks,
Yeah.
and just redone, let alone the old ones, and they wonder why they crumble and deteriorate and all that stuff. And we don't have any sidewalks in our neighborhood, well,
I sold
maybe
one.
you shouldn't have
Well,
one.
always
Yeah.
there is a
probably
driveway
good,
that goes over a sidewalk. My dad always told me that I wasn't allowed to block that.
You can't.
And a lot of people do that along that street too, so I wondered about that. Okay, thank you, sir.
I've got one. Are you done?
Yes, sir, ma'am.
I want to put another plug in for Aaron's book. Well, really Brittany.
I was gonna say.
Thank you.
Karen, this is mule or Karen?
Seen it or not, but it is amazing. But they talk about our parks and what we're doing, and the fun park and the skate park. That's just like it said. But Baker is my favorite for playing between the fun park and the skate park. It goes without saying. And I just feel like it's a great opportunity to talk about the pool, and I really appreciate that.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.